My name is Gayle Murdoch, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Sales Effectiveness and Performance with Canada Life. Joining me today are Jennifer Hargraves from Tellent and Crystal Taylor, a financial advisor and partner with Holden and Taylor Advisory. Recent reports have shown that women in particular experience negative economic impacts after a divorce. We conducted some research through our marketing team just this past spring with women from across Canada to understand the impact of divorce on their financial plans and goals. The results showed that women who worked with an advisor as part of their divorce process were much more likely to feel that the timeline to achieve their financial goals had actually been accelerated, whereas women who did not work with a financial advisor were more likely to feel like their divorce had delayed their financial goals and ambitions. When we asked women if they felt their settlement was fair and equitable for both parties, only 35% of women who did not work with an advisor felt that way. But what's really cool is that that number actually jumped to 65% of women who did work with a financial advisor. So it really goes to show the importance of great, sound advice from a confident, trusted advisor, which you're going to hear from today. So today our speakers are Crystal and Jenny, and they're going to provide you with valuable and actionable advice to empower you to move through and beyond this period of life with clarity and with confidence. Crystal is an advisor based in Calgary who's been supporting clients as a financial advisor for over 17 years. Throughout that period, Crystal has worked with Canada Life, and Crystal, we really appreciate your business and your partnership with us. Crystal is going to kick things off for us today. She's going to be sharing some insights she's gained from both her personal experience as well as her professional experience working and supporting clients as they move through divorce. Thank you again for joining us, and I'm going to hand it over to Crystal to get us going. Crystal, over to you.
Thank you so much, Gayle, for the introduction, and thank you to Canada Life for the invitation to be here today. This is a really important topic, and I'm very excited for the opportunity to share with you a bit about how financial advice can positively impact you if you're going through this in your life. So I'm Crystal Taylor. I am with Holden and Taylor Advisory Group, and I'm an advisor in Calgary, Alberta. We also serve clients in BC and the Yukon Territory. I have, as Gayle mentioned, over 17 years of experience as a financial advisor, helping numerous families and individuals with their investments, insurance, and financial planning needs. As an advisor, a woman, and mother, addressing this topic is very important to me. I became a wife in 2004, a mother in 2006, and soon after, in 2007, a licensed advisor, which is a whole story for another day. Unfortunately, by 2008, my marriage had ended, and it took until 2012 to finalize my divorce. If you're really great at math, you can see that the divorce took as long as the entire marriage. This was particularly daunting, and it was very isolating. Despite having an incredibly supportive family, I really struggled in retrospect, figuring out all my ways through every step that I needed to take in the process. So I would love to share with you a bit today about how we can help you as advisors. If I can make it work. There we go. So there are a lot of emotions that can get in the way during the process of separation and divorce. So I want to recognize that it is highly emotional and that is unavoidable. Whether the decision to separate was yours or the other party's, there's going to be a lot of emotions involved. They're both expected, and there's lots of unexpected emotions. It's okay, and that's why we're here. So if you want, I want to talk about the three that I feel I see the most in my practice. So the most common emotional responses I see are with clients and friends who come into my practice who need some help with their finances, but they don't know where to start because the emotions have just overwhelmed them. So they're feeling a lack of financial confidence, all the overwhelm that they're experiencing, and a desire to just throw in the towel, walk away, try to keep the peace, or to find some peace in their life. Lack of financial confidence happens when we don't know what next step to take. We don't know all of the pieces that we need to put into place to get through the separation, through the divorce, and into our post-divorce life. Overwhelm happens because there's lots of requests on us. We experience a lot of demands for disclosure. We experience demands for payments, or we need payments to be made to us. And we need someone to help us walk through that. So financial disclosure is something that usually happens in the earlier stage of the process. And this is something where you have to disclose to the other party all of your finances, all of your sources of income, your bills, your debts, and your assets. And you will give those to your lawyer in most situations, and they will help you understand how that looks against the other party's financial disclosure. So it's financial advice and then a legal team, and it becomes very complicated which step to take when. So what's really important to know is when you have a good relationship with your advisor, you need to engage them in this process. Don't hide from them. So when that happens, there's a lot for any person to take in. It also feels like everything happens really quickly. It's a short period of time, and your entire life is about to change or has already changed. If you experience the desire to throw in the towel, walk away, it can be caused by feeling fatigued, feelings of inadequacy, wanting to find your own peace or peace for the other party. There's lots of reasons that women do walk away from financial aspects during the process. And I want to really encourage you that if you have a clear understanding through having good, sound financial advice, the potential impacts, you will understand the impacts of walking away, or you will understand what you're entitled to in the process and what it would take to actually get those resources. I want to encourage you not to be bullied, not to be shamed, not to be exhausted, and don't sacrifice your financial future because you didn't get the right advice. One of the things that we work with here at Holden and Taylor is we really encourage people to collaborate with professionals. It's really important that you understand all the professionals that are available to you and where they might fit for your life and for your success. So these professionals that we're going to talk about today are the three major areas that we see during separation and divorce. They are your legal team. So you require legal protection and you have legal obligations during the process of separation and divorce. These protections and obligations can be navigated with the help of a lawyer. You also require financial protection and you have financial obligations during this time. You need to have a financial advisor helping you navigate that for your success. Your advisor may collaborate with other professionals such as an accountant or also your lawyer. The third one that's often forgotten is your wellness. It's your well-being overall. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of emotion. And sometimes when you bring that emotion into the legal office, those legal bills start to rack up. So if you are able to find a resource where you can take care of your mental well-being, then that can help you navigate this process much quicker and much more efficiently. Some of the examples are a divorce coach, a psychologist or a therapist, or a personal coaching service like Jenny, and she's going to share with you a bit about her Propeller experience today. And there's lots of other professionals out there. We have a lot of resources in today's world that we didn't have 10, 20 years ago. So if you are seeking legal advice, the role of a lawyer is to ensure that your rights are fully protected. They will help guide you through your legal options. They will also obtain the financial disclosure from the other party and will advise what you are legally entitled to. We can't really work with fictitious numbers as advisors. We need to know the other numbers and what you're entitled to. And those calculations can sometimes be a bit complicated. Your lawyer cannot help you with budgeting. They cannot help you with savings and overall financial planning. Your lawyer can also get really expensive if you're bringing in those emotional pieces. The role of the advisor is to help you understand the impact of your financial decisions. They will help you create your disclosure. They will use information from your lawyer to help you illustrate the impacts of the different options available to you. We cannot tell you matrimonial law. We cannot tell you real estate law or the parenting rules that are in place for your region. We are not trained to help you navigate some of the really difficult emotional pieces that are coming along with this. And that's why I always encourage people to seek out the help of a divorce coach, a psychologist, or a life coach. As an example, during the process, you may be offered lots of ways. So one of the ways that you might be offered compensation for matrimonial assets or spousal support might be through regular monthly payments They might be through monthly payments on a sliding scale, or they might be offering you a lump sum spousal buyout, or you may be obligated to pay as well. So it is essential that you understand how they impact your current plan. So if you're offered more than one option to resolve the financial disparity between two parties, it's really important that you put that into your financial plan and see what the results are with either option that's presented to you. So your advisor will help you make the confident choice for you. And once it's implemented, your advisor can help you with the next steps. And I do find that often people will start saving money in a very careful way. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But it's really important that you don't have to jump all into a big, robust investment strategy right off the hop if this is your first time, investing money on your own. It's really important that you know that everything should be done at your pace and everything should feel comfortable for you. You should feel confident about asking the questions. In regards to the wellness, the time that you're going through this period of time can feel like forever, but it's really important that you know that there are supports here and that they don't have to add to your overall expenses. There's lots of online support like what we're doing today. And that's really encouraging to see everybody here because this is a really big step and something that I don't think was available like 10, 12 years ago. So this is really exciting. You may be dealing with a lot of fear, anger, a broken heart. You may learn a lot from a legal perspective that you didn't intend to learn. And you may have minor children, which cause extra concern. You may have financial fears. You may have financial gaps that need to be bridged. You need to take care of your overall wellness so that you can actually make the decisions that make sense to you in the long term. So, once you have the right team around you, you'll start to feel ready to move forward with confidence. But where should you begin? So, first step that we hear is when Gayle was mentioning the survey that Canada Life had done. It has some really valuable information, but the most standout piece was that being fully prepared for a financial emergency was top of mind. This is not a surprise. All of a sudden, everything about your financial life has changed. And you want to know that if you need money for something like a big home repair or a vehicle repair or anything else, job loss, you need to have money available to you. And where would that come from? We also heard a lot about budgeting, which I like to call cash flow planning or management. So we really need to know where all the sources of income are going to come from. It makes sense when life is changing that you're going to be feeling like you may not know the answers to these questions, but just know that it's absolutely okay. It's going to be something you can uncover. There are people here to help. So what will your income be? Identify that. What are your expenses going to be? What are the options for housing? These are really, really, really big questions. And you don't have to know all of the answers in the moment, but you do need to be taking active steps towards getting clarity on those for your life. So cash flow. Cash flow planning helps you identify all your sources of income. So what can you count on? What are your reliable sources of income? What are your variable sources of income? What are your fixed expenses? And what are your variable expenses? And what might be some expenses that you're looking for in the future? Is there excess funds for something like savings for the future? Are children going to be involved? When children are involved, the income and expenses change drastically. I also like to encourage people that children don't stay little forever. They don't stay in daycare forever or have childcare forever. They don't have braces their entire life. But there are some things that we need to plan for when children are involved. Post-secondary is one of the things that is often a big topic of conversation with children. What can we rely on? What can we not rely on for the income? And where can we make sure that if the income we can't rely on doesn't come, that you're still going to be okay? Emergency funds and savings and RESP contributions. So having an emergency fund is really important as an overall financial rule of thumb. When you have children, it's no longer optional. You need to prioritize this. Make sure that you're taking active steps towards having one. If you don't have one or haven't identified where that would be in your plan, it's okay. An advisor will help you with that or help you get started building one. It's really important that it's not locked away. that it's not invested in a way that it could have very high ups and downs. It's really important that you can access it and you know where the money would come from. And if you don't and you need money, you need to phone your advisor. When you are looking at planning for children, a lot of people do prioritize the RESP, which is so great because you get those grants and those bonds. However, if you don't have an emergency fund, sometimes it's very savvy to pause those contributions and focus on building that emergency fund. Goal setting is something that I also really like to work on with people. So if you come to me and you're starting a new life for yourself, we need to work on building goals. And I'm not just talking about the retire at 65 goal. That's a goal that is excellent to have, or 60 or 55, whatever the age matters. But we want to dig a little deeper here. We want to make sure that your journey towards those future years are you building steps into your plan, that you can achieve things along the way. That goal is usually pretty far in the distance when you're going through a separation and divorce. So please note that I will put you through a process, and your advisor should have these conversations with you. What do you really want next year, in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years? Are you happy where you're living? Are you happy with your work? Are you happy with where the children are going to school? Do you feel confident that they'll be able to do all the extracurriculars that you want to do? Like, let's build this all into the plan and see what you can achieve and where we need to make some changes. And then let's help you check off boxes along the way, because you get to celebrate all those milestones. So it may feel overwhelming. I know this list is very large, so please don't think that you have to do this by yourself. If you have a pen and paper out today and you write down cash flow planning, just start thinking about your sources of income. Start thinking about all the expenses you're aware of, and see if you subtract all the expenses from the income, there should be a pool of money left over, hopefully. And if it is, does that make sense to you? Do you feel like you have that much money at the end of the month? So start small. Engage your professionals. The other piece that I find surprising in my practice is I focus on protecting yourself and protecting your settlement. So often women are still making less money than men in a divorce situation. It's changing, but this is still happening quite regularly where there is income disparity. So women are relying on spousal support payments and child support payments to help bridge the gap between what they're making and what their lifestyle is costing. So if you are in that situation and you haven't signed your divorce papers yet, or you haven't completed all of your legal agreements, it would be really important for you to ask your advisor and your lawyer if there is protection that you can build in. So things that we talk about are, what are all the beneficiaries on both sides of the fence? Are they allocated properly? All of the dependents of the relationship need to be identified, and if there are documents that pertain to them, they need to be up to date. Additionally, protecting your income becomes very important. So if you are working, then it's really important to know what would happen if you couldn't work tomorrow. Do you have disability insurance? Do you have critical illness insurance? Is it employer provided? Are you paying for your own? What would you get in those scenarios? We need to help make sure that if you were only going to get X amount per month, that would make sure that you could keep a roof over your head and keep food on the table. I also recommend looking at the settlement with partners. So when I have a couple and someone's receiving support payments on either side of the fence, how are those support payments protected? Is that person protected in the event of disability or critical illness or premature death? What would happen if the person making the payments passed away? What would happen if they could no longer work? So it's really important to ask yourself those questions, to ask your professional those questions. You can have protection for premature death, critical illness, and disability written into your legal agreements, and they can be enforceable. It's really important. There are some considerations. We need to ask who's paying for the coverage. Who are the beneficiaries for the coverage and how are they allocated? So with minors, it's really important to know who would manage the money while the children are not of age. And also to note if beneficiary designations should be revocable or irrevocable. And this can change a little bit region per region. In Alberta, you can make a revocable beneficiary, which means the owner of the contract can change it at any time. In Quebec, there are some different rules. So if you're in that region, please ask your advisor. There's other risks to your payments that we need to identify as a planner. So there are things that we can't really insure for, things like job or economic changes. But they're a risk, and we need to make sure that we keep an eye on your emergency fund so that if that did happen, we know where money would be coming from to help you get through that period of time. An advisor will help you pinpoint all of these. It's really important that you seek out this advice. And we're getting to the fun part now, if that wasn't fun already. We've supported you through your divorce, through your separation, but now, once you're through all of that, and it is possible, I promise, you get to create the life of your dreams now. You get to start making decisions for you. And I think you're going to really enjoy the next part of this conversation. I've had a little taste from Jenny. So I want to talk about the financial piece, about what you get to create. You now have a budget. You now have an emergency fund. You have some savings. You've protected yourself. And you can now start to look at the longer term planning and that wealth building part of your financial plan, which is the part people really, really want to do. My goal is to help you feel really empowered as a woman. I really want to see women not stay stuck because they're afraid. I want them to understand, implement, and feel really confident with all their decisions going forward. I want to listen to your goals for the future. So all those little goals along the way that we talked about checking off, I really want to see people celebrating that. You need to celebrate, even if it's a small thing like you started your emergency fund. Make sure that you acknowledge that and celebrate that as a win before you move on to the next goal. Things that are more attainable to you will feel possible. You will start to take steps on your own and feel confident about them. There will be some clarity for you in your finances, and that will help you squash the noise. And in the future, once you're through everything, you will know that you get to make the decisions. You get to set the goals, and they are about what you want. It's your time to grow. You're in the driver's seat. So step into it, engage your professionals. I want to make sure that you don't disqualify yourself from advice. So be careful with your inner dialogue here. I want you to understand that you can understand a financial plan for your life. You can expedite your progress towards your goals, as we've just seen in the study that Kind of Life did. You can feel less exhausted by decision-making fatigue in this area of your life because you're aware someone else is looking out for you. And you'll be able to take those steps and implement and execute financial decisions. These are all about you. A plan does not require you to have a certain amount of money or investable assets. I would love if you would write that down. You don't have to have a minimum amount of money or a certain number of investments in a certain type of investment to get a financial plan. A plan does require you to be engaged with your advisor, actively taking the steps that you've talked about in those meetings and that are outlined in your plan, and not hiding from them if things get tough or they go off the rails. You need to call them when things aren't feeling like they can move forward so that you can adjust your plan. A plan is a living document that needs to be adjusted and reviewed regularly. So finding the approach that works for you will help you stop disqualifying yourself from seeking advice. So as I mentioned, it's a very different landscape than when I was going through this over 11 years ago. There's so much available online. Some of it's good and some of it isn't great, as we know. I don't want to call it Dr. Google, but there are some ways you can Google things the wrong way. But this webinar, for example, put on by a reputable company with great people who are here just to give you information, is one really small step that you can be taking towards learning more about your next steps for your situation. You need to be looking for a team and who's going to be on that team. It's really important that you understand that it's your comfort level with each of the professionals that you work with that matters the most. If you can Do some self-directed options. There are certain people that works really well for. If you try to do a self-directed option and it doesn't work for you, please don't put that extra pressure on yourself. You don't have a strong reason for not reaching out to a professional. You need to make sure that you feel confident knowing that this is about you and the professionals are here to help you get through each piece of the process. You need to know that there are different scenarios. So understanding how someone like a financial advisor is paid is really important. There's lots of options out there to you. There are CFPs, which are certified financial planners. They can charge you a flat fee for just working on your financial plan. So these are often advertised as non-biased because they're not trying to sell you a product. There are also advisors who are paid to help you implement products like insurance and investments. Some of them can also do a plan for you, or some of them can recommend someone to do the plan for you. It's really important that you know that you can ask how professionals are paid. You can ask what their process is, and you should understand all of that before you sign a formal engagement agreement to begin the process. And also transparency. So if you ask questions, I want you to feel comfortable with the answers that you're getting back in return. Feel free to ask for references and don't be afraid. The advisor needs to be as transparent with you as you should be with them. Because if you're not able to be fully transparent with your advisor, you will not be able to get to the final stages or through the process because you will get hung up, unfortunately. So please know, if you're not feeling like you can tell your advisor the truth, you can feel free to keep interviewing and finding one that works the best for you. So owning your protection. Owning your emotions. Sorry, you do own your protections as well if you have some insurance, but owning your emotions is something that we really encourage. And that's what I think Jenny's going to be sharing a bit more about today. We want to make sure that you don't get in the way with your emotions of getting things done for you that will serve you for the long run. I want you to take a team approach. Make sure you find the people in your life that you can count on. Add professional support where it's needed and when it's needed. And if you're not sure, ask. There's people who will happily answer your inquiries. Focus on your three main areas: the legal, the financial, and the wellness. And there's lots of other moving pieces, of course there are, but those three can help you get through all of those pieces. Take back your control. Make sure you're overcoming that feeling of overwhelm. Take steps to understand. Take a breather if you need it. Own your financial independence. Please own that. And celebrate it. Protect yourself. Again, ensuring you're protected for you, for any dependents, for the future. You can add protection through awareness, like what we're doing today. You can ask for advice, and you could possibly even insure some of the risks that might be identified in your plan. And don't forget to plan for and celebrate the potential for your prosperous future. There's really no reason that you cannot take control of what your future holds by taking steps today to see what's available for you, what's out there, who can help you, how can they help you. It's really important that we share that as a team, and we want to celebrate that.
Have we got any questions?
I'll take that one. So it says, when should I engage a financial advisor during the process? If you don't have an existing relationship with an advisor, it's really good to start building one right away so that you can find the advisor that you're going to work with through the process. So you should start in the beginning and get a really good inventory of where you're at. Hopefully that helps.
Good question. How
do you find a financial advisor? Depending on where you live, you can go to Advocates. They have lists of advisors. You can go to the CFP, the Certified Financial Planning website, and they can list out certified financial planners for you. Do some research online and maybe ask some of your peers who might have a really good advisor who they're working with. If we're both clients of the advisor, can we both remain clients? Without sounding too cliche, that is a it depends question. And I say that carefully because it doesn't depend on us necessarily. It depends on how both of you feel about that moving forward. There should be good confidence in the confidentiality between you and your advisor. And so if you feel like that can be maintained through the process and you want to continue working with the advisor, then I think you should do that. I think that that's a really tricky question. So the question is, should you look for an advisor who specializes in divorce, or do all advisors know this material? I think that if an advisor has experience, they will have encountered divorce. I would ask them what their comfort level is with the divorce. And there is special designation. So you can seek out somebody as a certified divorce financial planner or financial specialist that can help you in your region.
These are great questions.
Yeah, they're really like, whoo, I'm on a hot seat now.
Do we have any other questions coming through?
I think what I'd like to actually add to that one is if you know, your advisor doesn't have to be divorced to know how to navigate it, but they should be able to be quite honest with you how comfortable they are with the situation. And you should just keep an eye out for somebody trying to give you legal advice or emotional support. We can listen, but we can't. If we start naming personality traits or going down that rabbit hole, then we probably aren't the right fit for that situation. I think that might be.
All right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If you're looking for some more information, you can visit canadalife.com to check out the full research report and explore additional resources.
Thank you so much. And I just want to encourage everybody to find the next step and make a phone call, send an email, do something for you today. Celebrate that.